Okay, so here we'll talk about this QTP. Okay, it's actually no more QTP. It's now it's new version. It's like UFT, you know, Unified Functional Testing. But this is the old version. What we'll see here is various functionality items and all those in QTP. Okay, so we'll just go through it. Those functionalities remain same. Okay, no matter if it's UFT or even if it's upgraded or it might be Selenium. Even Selenium, even if you have to use Selenium, the record and playback and all those will be here. The only thing is the way you manage the code. There is code generated at the end. Um, Here, QTP, the code generated is through VB, Visual Basic, right? Based on that, the code is actually generated. So I see here. So here, these are the testing process. So whenever you use it, as a matter of fact, any automation tool. So QTP is an automation tool. Okay, it's not it's not manual process. So far we were talking about this manual, but this is automation tool. Okay, whatever you are doing will be automated. Your test cases will be automated, and and whichever the script which is generated is called actually the test scripts. Okay, so here is the thing. So what you do is, first thing is you record an application. Okay, you record. Okay, so once you do recording, so that means, let's say here, let's take an example. Okay, so let's say if you are going to this website and wherever you want to record this, so here, okay, yeah, my voice maybe I'm actually muting because I have cough, so that's why you might feel that way. Okay, so yeah, I actually mute. Sometimes I mute, so that's that's the thing you might get. Okay, so yeah, so here's the thing. You record an application. Okay, so here you are using, web application. So here take an example of using a web application. Okay, let's say you want to record this process, right? Now, let's say I'm trying to record it. So if you are trying to record all these, right, this will be all recorded. Let's say just put in all this information and just use this information again. Okay, and let's say, okay, so I've recorded this on this, application. I've recorded and I've stored. Now, the way it works, right? It You record only once, all right? You record only once, and you play many times. That means there's no. Let's say there are, hundreds of people who have to go through the script, right? Hundreds of people. There's not just one people, right? There's different addresses, different name. You see here different fields. Different people will be there, the different addresses, the different cities, the different state, and all those things are different. So there's some data, like let's say hundreds of data, 200s of data. Now you're recording only once, right? But we talk about this, that you have this parameterization where you want to edit your data and put the data into it, and you have to play back again. So that is the recording. So you record once, play many. Okay, but when you're playing back, okay, put all this information will be different, so that you want to make sure, even if it is hundreds of data and 200s of data, this application is still working. Okay, don't have any issues, because some, if there is any special characters in it, how the application is behaving, is it an error here? Okay, is it showing good? So all those things will be recorded by QTP. So that's the thing. So that's the recording process. Okay, you record once and you play back many. Okay, and then you have enhancing a test. Okay, that's what it means by enhancing. You want to move some data, you want to edit some values, you want to or you want to troubleshoot a code, like if you have that script, or you want to change the data or something, then you enhance. That's called enhancing a test. Okay, so here we'll discuss, this is enhancing is one of the important thing where you call as parameterization. Okay, that's the most important thing. Okay, where you will be doing in the enhancing process. Debugging, um, you will be a little bit, if you get hold of a script and try to understand it, if you see there is some issues with the script, you will be doing some debugging. But really not your job as a QTP tester. Even if you're going as a QTP tester, or automation tester, you will be only responsible for running the test, not always going to the script and troubleshooting is not always. Okay, so only running the process. Okay, that will be the, even if you're going as a tester, it will be just running process. Okay, not debugging and not everything. Okay, and then running the test and analyzing the results. So once what happens once it gets once the QTP runs everything, it analyzes and stores in a particular place. Okay, so that is, you can analyze the result. Okay, then reporting the defects. Then if you, now here you don't want to get too many defects. If you are getting too many defects at this stage at the automation, then the person who is getting hold of is QA guy. You know why? Because your boss will ask you the question, why it is showing up in automation, why not in QA, right? That's a valid question, right? Your boss will just ask you a simple question. If somebody else is taking these defects, why didn't you take these defects? Why not in QA and why in automation? Okay, so you have to make sure there should not be any defects in automation point of view. That's the main thing. Okay, because all the defects should be carried out in QA perspective and have to be get fixed at QA, because that's what you hired, right? If it's going into regression and automation and you're getting too many defects there, one or two is fine. Okay, so that's okay. But if you're getting too many, and that's not good, because the person who get hold of is QA guy, not automation, not developer, no one. Is the QA, and the very first question your boss will ask you that why in automation, why not in QA? Okay, so you have to remember that. So that's the process in QTP. So let's go here one by one. So here, let's see here. There's a QTP recognizes, let's say here QTP recognizes only based on objects. So we'll go in detail on that. It only recognizes based on the objects. And okay, so not all, it can be recognized. So what it has, it's only, the QTP only recognizes based on properties and values. So we'll talk about this in detail. So, but it doesn't recognize everything, right? So let's say there's a video player, okay? Now let's say there is something else. So in that case, ActiveX, Visual Basic, these add-ins should be enabled if QTP wants to enable, QTP wants to recognize it. This add-in should be enabled. Okay, so without these add-ins, you cannot completely. So this is a simple page, right? So this is not complex, so it's normal, it's fine. But if the page becomes a dynamic page, or there's too many things like like a video player or any other player, then you have to enable this and see how to recognize those things, because QTP doesn't recognize everything. Okay, so but there are other add-ins like Cebu, Java, and if you require some JavaScripts which are there, so you have to enable this to understand. To at the end of the day, we are trying to test, right? It's the same thing. Is the URL working? Is the field working? Okay, is the field value good? And then is the buttons are working? So all those things. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. But how this web page is designed is the important thing. Is it from Java? Is it from Visual Basic? Is it so on? There are so many languages, right? So that's the reason you want to enable this and see. Okay, does it recognize it? So that's the point of add-in manager. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go pretty quick here. There are recording. So how do you record? There's three types of recording: normal, analog, and low-level recording. Okay, so normal recording is, let's say, if it is left click. You see this left click, right? It's called normal recording. Okay, so analog recording is for, let's say, right clicks. Okay, because if you see here, you see this right clicks here, it's different, and here is different, right? Let's say some application requires some right click applications. They have some options in the right click. So in that case, you want to use analog recording. Okay, then you have this low level recording. Low level recording is, these are the special recording modes where you want to use, let's say you want to use keyboard like tab option. Okay, so you're using tab to move this from one field to another, right? So those are, this is an example. So I'm just giving an example, but this can be done with various, broad range. Okay, this is an example to use it. Okay, so those are the modes. Okay, three different recording modes: normal, analog, and low level recording. Okay. Then you have this run modes. Okay, then two types of run modes: is normal and fast. Okay, how do you want to run this QDB? Okay, so that's the thing. Now let's go to different modules here. So let's try to understand what's the different modules. Okay, oops, just got stored here. Okay. Now what? Let's see here. Let's take a good screenshot. Okay, so we'll talk about these various modules. What are these functionalities of QTP remain same even if it's a different version of QTP. Okay, even if it's UFT, but it's not that let's see. See. Okay, so here, let's see here. So this is the user interface when you open the QTP, but in the new version this is not the case. But this functionalities remain same. Okay, so let's see here. Now there are various options here. So here this is called title bar. Okay, this is the title bar where you see this title. Okay, so what it's trying to do, this is the title of this window. Okay, so this is the window and this is the title bar. And this is a menu bar which most of the applications, so this is kind of client application, right? It's installed in your system. That's called client application. So any client application installed in your system contains this menu bar. Okay, most of the time contains. Okay. Now, if it doesn't contain this, not really very user friendly application, because most of the time it should be there. If you want some modification, if you want to configure something, all will be there in the menu bar. Okay, so this is called menu bar. Okay, now this is file toolbar. So this is shortcuts. Okay, these are the kind of shortcuts. Why? Because all this will be there in the menu toolbar. Okay, all this what is shown up here will be there. So this kind of shortcuts. Okay, now this is the all this will be there in the menu bar. So no need to worry. But here it's a little bit elaborative and put in the shortcuts way. Okay, and there is the debug toolbar. This is the debug toolbar. So this is debug if you want start working with the script, you want to debug it. And this is a testing toolbar. Okay, like record, you want to record it, you want to run it, or actions, all those things they will be there in the testing toolbar. And this is the action toolbar. Okay, so we'll talk about this action. So action is, action is in layman's language, right? Let's try to understand in layman's language in general term. It's kind of notepad, right? It's a notepad. Now you want to write your script. Let's say you want to record a script. You have to record it somewhere, right? Worksheet, okay? Like a worksheet, and that's what the action is, okay? Now that's a different thing that you can classify these actions in various things, okay? You can make it non-reusable, reusable, all those things, but it's kind of worksheet where you want to write all the code. You have to put your code somewhere, right? That's called action, okay? Now this is called test pane. Okay, now there are two views of this. One is keyword view, and the other is oops. So this is a keyword view, okay, and the other is expert view. Okay, so in the keyword view, this is what it shows, and the expert view, the code, all the code is actually shown. So here, let's see here, and here this is the data table. So data table. Now, why do you use data? It's kind of Excel. It's not exact Excel. It's Excel for QBB. Okay. So why do we need this? The simple thing, right? We are recording this, right? We are recording only once, but let's say there are a lot of data that has to be playback, right? And there's like hundreds of data, 200s of data that has to be run. So in that case, you put all this information here in this data table and run the script. So in that case, now you have to, of course, you have to parameterize, change the names, change the values, and then you have to rerun your script that runs different iterations. Okay, so we'll talk about this in detail. So that's the data table. Okay, it used to put the data which you are running your script. Okay, and this is active screen, where you actually see the screenshot. Let's say if you are doing some checkpoints. Okay, checkpoints is a manual which you want to view it. So let's say you see this purple color mark here. So that means checkpoint. You are actually using that and running that. Okay, so you want to see that manually. That is it field visible? Okay, is it showing some value? So that's the use of this. Okay, so let's go in detail here. So this is a toolbar. Okay, so this is a new file. If you want to create new file, you can create that. If you want to open it, this is the option to open it, and you want to save it. Just to save and print. So, okay, so these are the normal views, and then let's go to here. Okay. Now let's go to here. This is quality center connection. So what you're trying to do is you want to connect this to quality center. Why? Let's say there's script, because here's the thing. Now you're not the only one who is working on, right? Now if it is automation, there can be a whole new world in automation. Okay, that means like an automation developer, automation architect. Now, if it's a big company like Amazon, Google, then they might also have this automation BA, right? Automation BA, automation. So that becomes the whole world altogether. So in that case, what happens, right? So somebody else prepares the script. Let's say automation architect. Okay, this is an automation architect who prepares all the script, and automation developer who sees this and puts that all the code into that in the QC, like quality center or HPALM. And once it gets put, once they put all the scripts there, you want to pull out that script, right? So in that case, you want this because you're not developing script. It's not your job. You're only testing, right? You're a tester, not developer. So, but the automation developer develops it and puts into the QC because you have to have some place to put, right? So QC is actually lower version, downgraded version of HPLM. Does it make sense? QC is downgraded version of HPLM. HPLM is upgraded version of QC. Okay, so HPLM, QC are not same, but different versions because HPLM has more broad, a lot of things they have added by HP. But QC is simple. Okay, there's only 4 modules, and you have to work only on the 4 modules. But it has been a lot of upgraded. So okay, that's the QC. So that's what you can connect. So it can be HPLM too. Doesn't matter. Okay, HPLM, it also supports HPLM, and once you connect it, and you can, if you know the URL where the exactly the URL, you just pull in the script, and the script goes up here, or you can download the script from there. So that's the reason of having this quality center connection. So here. So what's the function? So as I told you, right, a lot of developers will be working on it, right? You're not just alone. You're not writing your code yourself. You're a tester. So let's say a developer has written the script for you, right? Developer, and let me ask you this: what's the function then? Developer has written the script. How do you get that script? Now, a developer is not going to email you, and there is no way to email the script, and that's a lot of big script. Let's say it's MBs of data, and your Office Outlook will support only up to 20 MB. Let's take an example, 20 MB, and you cannot send, and it gets blocked by admin, and your Outlook gets locked. Okay, you're not sending any code or anything to email. There's no way of doing that. So my question is, how would you put the script into your system? Okay, let's say, I know there are ways you can use the network drive. Okay, if there's network, they just put the script and you can use it. But obviously that may not be always a better idea. In that case, you have to use HPALM or quality center or whatever tool it is. Okay, so that's the function of this. You have to pull out this script from somewhere, right? Okay, there are many ways. You don't have to use this only this. You can use a network drive or SharePoint, as a matter of fact. But SharePoint, you don't want to use that. Okay, for this specific reason, because they don't want. See, a developer don't want code to be everywhere. They are very particular about this, and of course, obviously, the code don't want to spill all around because people keep copying it and misuse this. That's the reason you want this. Does it make sense? Because nobody wants to misuse it, right? If you are using even network drive or even there's a lot of misuse of this. Okay, so you want to connect it to particular application, to particular tool like HPLM, for example. Okay, and then pull out the script. Okay, so that's the thing. And this, you see this box. This is called object repository. Okay, this is called object repository. And now, let me ask you this. Okay. Now, since I've already told, like QTP only recognizes based on properties and values of an object. Okay, it's QTP only recognizes two objects. Okay, and now let me ask you this question: what is an object? Okay, not in the whole world in the software. I'm just talking about the software. Let's take an example here. Let's take this for the ease of convenience. Let's take this application. Okay, this is application, and I want to see what's an object. Can anyone tell what's an object in this application? Now, because you want to use QTP, right? You want to use QTP and start your testing. Okay, you're using that, running that code, and you want to run that code, but there are some issues. But want to try to understand.
Buttons is the object.
Oh yeah, what is an object in this application? Let's take an example in this application. What is an object? So this is the whole application, right? This is application. I want to see what's an object here. So somebody said, okay, URL. Okay, great. Anything else?
All buttons, enter, about, all the buttons is considered to be an object.
Okay, that's good. Okay, URL, buttons, and everything, that's an object. Okay, good. Anything else? Any defect? This a defect is not. So I don't see defect here. Defect. You have to be more detailed on this. Okay, defect means, yeah, defect. There are defects. Okay, this is a defect. So that's really, that doesn't specify for that particular object, but I'm looking for more specific. Okay, good. So yeah, so anything that displays in this web page is an object. Okay, technically anything what's displayed here is an object. This is a different thing. There's also called parent object, child object. That means parent object will be this browser, whole browser, and the parent object are dependent on each other. Okay, I'm sorry, child object are dependent on parent objects. Now, that's good. Somebody said buttons here. So yes, that's an object. Why? Because to QTP to identify an object, it requires property and values. Okay, now this object has its own property and values. What are they? Now it has length, it has height. Now it doesn't have breadth because it's not a 3D button. Okay, it needs 3D button. Of course, it will also have breadth. Okay, so this is 2D button, so it's limited to height. So that's a property. And what else? Now there's a title here, title, enter geomonline, this is an object. Okay, so these are the properties and values of an object. So that's how QTP identifies an object. Okay, and most importantly, it identifies the unique property, unique value of that particular property. QTP identifies. Why? Because let's say these 3 buttons. Let's take an example, 3 buttons. Let's say if you have clicked this and you recorded it, right? Recording is easy because it knows where did you click and what button you clicked. But when you are doing like hard coding or descriptive programming, that doesn't help. Okay, you want to identify what's the unique property, unique value of the property of this button. Let's say unique is enter geomonline. You know what? We can also see here in the code itself. It will be there in the code. But this is not an appropriate way of doing this because as a tester, you are not actually looking to this code because this code will not be helpful for you because there are much more things other than this. Okay. Let's see. Okay, good. So if you see this here, this is the property type and button is a value. What is the name? We submit. Okay. The value is enter geomonline. Okay. So these are the property. You see the small thing in between. So this is, and all this is specifying here, and they also have this option, right? What's the size of it? Input 130.09 by 21. Okay. So all this is actually based on property. Even if you're coding, that's based on property and values. So when you're trying to, so that's how the QTP recognizes, right? This is important when you're doing descriptive programming. Other than that, if you're recording in playback, you don't require this because all these properties and values are stored here in this. So this is called object repository. Okay, this is how where all these properties and values are stored in this, and when you execute a script that recalls its properties, and that means you have clicked this button, so that means QTP understands, yeah, you have clicked this button and it goes here. Okay, so that's a object repository. Then you have this man with the hat guy. Now here's the thing. Now you want to you want to know what are the properties. Okay, you don't know, right? So nobody knows. Then looking at the code is not a very good idea because it doesn't display in detail. So we need in detail information. So if you click on that and click on this button, you will get various properties and various values. What is related to this, what's not. You get and then you can use it. So that's the use of this. This is called object spy. It's called object spy because it shows all the values of the property of that particular, not just button, anything. It might be an image. This can be image. This can be in text. Okay, it shows various values. Okay, let's go to the next. So here we have testing. This testing toolbar contains a record option where you can record. So that's what we mean, right? When you're recording it, you have to click it, and once you have recorded it, you want to stop it. So this is disabled because it gets activated only when you're recording. Okay, and then you want to run it. Okay, because if you're running the script, okay, you have to rerun, right? So that's the reason of having run. Okay, now these two options you see this. So this is action. Okay, so action, as I told you, it's a worksheet, kind of notepad. You see this notepad, right, where you write the code, but not exactly the notepad. Here it's called worksheet. So wherever you want to write the code, you want to use this action. Okay, so there are various options you can do that. So if you want to split an action, you can do that. That means you're splitting your work. Okay, you can also do that one. So that's it's disabled because once you use this action, it will be enabled. So these two things here, right? Start transaction time and end transaction time. Okay, so these two things you will be using here. So let's say if you want to record it and you want to know the time taken to move from one page to another page, you want to know the granularity of that particular movement of this page, right? Let's say I'm clicking this and I'm clicking this. Let's say I'm putting some value here and clicking this. And I want to know the whole, you see this, it's taking more time. So I want to know the whole time taken between, from one page to another page, 2 to 3 pages. I want to understand what's going on with that. So that is what you can do through start transaction time and end transaction. That's the use of that. Okay, how many buttons you have clicked, how much time you're taking, what are all those things will be, recorded in detail. Okay, so those things you can do here. And then, so let's go here pretty quick on this. Okay, so here in this test pane, right? So this is test pane and this is keyword view. This is classified into, this is the item. The item is, we know this is an object. It can be an object. And this operation. What kind of operation are you performing in that object? Okay. You know what? I'll just use this one. This is much better. Okay. So this is an action. That means it's various objects. You see these various objects here? Okay, these are our objects. And operation. So operation is something like, let's say if you have drop down box. Okay, drop down in select. You want to use that operation as select. You see the select. And let's say if it's an button, right? If it's a button, you want to use this click. Okay, this is a click. And let's say if you are entering password, then it means set secure. That means password is not displayed to anyone. It is encrypted in the the server, and nobody have access to the. If it's advanced, advanced website and all those things, nobody in the world will have access to the password. Password is encrypted and it can be only retrieved by getting through email or clicking on that, but no one can give you password there if it is an advanced website. Otherwise, if it's not encrypted, then password can be also used. So that's the reason you have set secure here. That's the operation you're trying to perform. And what's the value for that? Okay, again, what's the value? You're getting that value for that particular property. Okay, so that's the value. And any in a description on this. So what's the description? What you're trying to do? Okay, so that's the there's that whole explains about the keyword here. Okay. Next, you have this data table where you can enter all the data. Here you can enter data because you want to run the script, right? And you want to use it. So that's a data table, and this is kind of screenshot. Kind of screenshot where you are trying to run the script. Once you run the script, it gets keep updating it. It's kind of screenshot shown for you. And this is particularly called checkpoint. So we'll talk about this checkpoint in detail. Okay. So that's about pretty much about the functionalities. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's move to the next one. So these are some of the features. Okay, we are talking about these features how we used to do in the QTP. Okay, but at the end you will be mostly you'll be using this run button unless you want to get more knowledge and more information on this. You can go as QTP developer, but that's a later stage. As a tester, you'll be just running the script and trying to understand what the script does and what is this all about. Okay, that's the thing. Okay. So we'll go just pretty quick here. So here, object repository, you can see this. So let me highlight this. Better. So again, this is how this object repository looks like. Okay, and you see this various objects. This is called, as I told you, this is a parent object, and these are the child objects for that. Okay, now you can add your own object too. Okay, you can put some property in this, and you can use your objects by here too. Okay, so this is the options. And what does it contains again? What does object contains? It contains property and its value. That's any object. As a matter of fact, any object it contains property and its value. Okay, so that's what an object repository contains actually. So that's what the object. And next to object spike, we talk about this, right? You have to get the properties and values, right? How do you get? So once you click on this, once you click that man with the hat, remember the man with the hat guy? Okay, once you click on this, you will get this option. When you click on this, and you get all the list for that particular button. Let's say you clicked on some particular button, you get the list of what are the properties and what are the values for that particular object, right? So this is what object_spy does for you. It gets all the information about what is the property, what is the values for that particular object. Okay. For example, button. When you click on this button, it has its own property values, right? It gets all the information. It's empty here, but it's supposed to have some values there. Okay, so how does QTP recognizes an object? So there are three ways. That's mandatory properties, assistive properties, and ordinary identifier. But usually, as I told you, only few properties are required to uniquely identify an object. Okay, for example, let's say 3 buttons object properties are same, but the only unique value here is enter GM online. So that is the title of the button. This is the title of the button, and that's how you have to enter this value. Okay, if you want to tell QTP to click this button, right? So you want to use this title of the button. That's the only way. Okay, synchronization. Okay, so why do we need this synchronization? So here, let's go here. So let's say you're trying to navigate this website, right? Okay, so trying to navigate and notice I'm clicking this button, and for some reason, let's say sometimes some hardware issue, and it's taking some time. You see, this longer time it's taking. Let's say it's taking more than 5 seconds. Okay, it's taking more than 5 seconds, and and QTP think that no, it's a defect and it reports. So, but we know it's not a defect; it's a server issue, and it takes some because the application is slow, and so we want to tell QTP to wait. Okay, so wait is a small command here. Okay, you're telling wait for 10. That means whenever your code is getting executed, QTP thinks it's a bug or the code is not good, it stops because the page is not moving to the next page. But it's not the case. Here you want to synchronize between the server and the run of the QTP, right? Server is slow. We know server is slow, but right? So we want to write some small piece of code here that's called wait. Okay, that's how synchronization can be done. So let's go to here. So we'll go a little bit in this code. So this is more into descriptive programming. When you're record and playback, so record and playback doesn't work at one point of time. Why? Because when it's a dynamic website where it keeps, which application keeps changing it and everything keeps on changing it, you cannot really depend on record and playback because that throws a lot of error. So you want to use descriptive programming. Okay. So we'll just touch base and we'll not go in detail, but we'll just have some idea so that even if you're running the script, you'll get some idea what's all about. Okay. So checkpoints. So checkpoints, is like again I told you, right? Checkpoint is like manual checkpoint. You're actually viewing it. It gets highlighted in the screenshot, active screen in QTP, and this is what we're trying to do. So here there's a various checkpoints here. So here's standard checkpoint. Okay. So you want to see, if you don't know anything, but you are trying to see what the checkpoint is, this image, you click on this image, you're trying to do standard checkpoint. That means if you don't know what is it, you can go ahead with the standard checkpoint. Then is an image checkpoint. If you are trying to check this image, then you use image checkpoint. There's a table checkpoint. Now, here you have this table, that's fine. This you can say the table checkpoint, but I see table even here. So this is also table. Okay, let's see here. For here we don't see this table because we don't know. Now let's go to here. Oh, here you go. You see this? This is a table. Okay. Now this is all identifying this table 498 by 1. Let's see, everyone how to see this, right? So I want to checkpoint that. Right? I want to use checkpoint for this. But as a matter of fact, I don't know there's a table. This is an invisible, right? We cannot see it. But at the code end, I know this has table. So in that case, I want to use table checkpoint. But yes, obviously this is more relevant. This is more relevant to that because you can see the table here, right? When you cannot see, you cannot say what is it, right? So obviously this is more relevant to it. So you can say it's a table checkpoint. Now it's page checkpoint. Now let's say you want to checkpoint the whole page. Okay, this will be the whole page. Now that's called page checkpoint. The text checkpoint. You want to see the text. Let's say this text. So you want to use text checkpoint. So this is manually. Even if you are using this checkpoint, you have to view it manually, saying that okay, it will get highlighted once you use this. Okay. Now this text area checkpoint. Let's say this area between the text. Okay, so that's called text area checkpoint. Now bitmap checkpoint is like similar to this image checkpoint. You can use bitmap checkpoint. And then database checkpoint. Let's say you're working on the data. It's not a lot of data. Let's say 100, 200. That should be okay. And you want to checkpoint it. How much? With that, you have to connect with the database, Oracle database, or any other database, and you have to use the checkpoint. So that's called database checkpoint. These are various checkpoints. And checkpoint is used to only verification, right? that is it there, the value is there, or the particular field is there, or the the thing is there, object is there. We want to verify it, and that is done manually. So that's the use of checkpoint. Okay, let's go here. So this is how you can use this checkpoint here. See this purple color. Let's see. This purple color. This is actually this is the checkpoint. Actually, you're trying to insert that checkpoint. That means you're trying to put that and see here. That's a checkpoint. Okay. Okay. Good. Let's go to the next. We are running out of time, so we'll just go through quickly. Okay. So parameters. So here parameters again. So here's the what you'll be doing in the parameter. Now you know what is an object. It contains properties and values. Now what you're trying to do here is there's a value, right? There's value for that particular object. Now what you're removing the value and assigning a variable. That means the value is changes, right? It's not anymore constant. Like what? Like for example, this field value. Now your first time you ran the application with 100 quantity, next time you're running with 1000 quantity, next time you're running with 10,000 quantity, and so on. So what you're trying to do, first time when you ran this, you put 100. Now it's no more 100, right? You want to change the values here. So what you want to do is you want to remove that value 100 and put some variable there. Let's say quantity, QUN, some simple small name. Okay. And what you have to do in that variable, put that data into that. You remember there's a data sheet. Put all these values, 100, 1000, 10,000, million. Does it take also million values? So all this, put it into that Excel sheet and rerun the script. Now it runs various iterations. Okay, one iteration. How does it perform with 100? How does it perform with 1000? How does it perform with 10,000? So on. That's the use of these parameters, and not in just an example, not even that, right? I mean, if you want to change every whole field here, okay, you have to perform for this name, address, city. So there's so many things here. See, there's so many values here. So that values you have to remove that and put in variable and try to run the script. So that's what it does in parameterization. So let's see here. So you see this is a value. Okay, you see this is the value, right? So these are all values actually. Okay, this is the value. And what's the value? You're trying to remove this London, and you're trying to put some other, some random variable. And what I'm trying to do is just remove that value and put some. And you're actually, using this option. And here you see this. You're assigning this parameter. What you're trying to do, you're telling QTP to look into the data table. Okay, and once you do that, here you see this. Now you're putting this P underscore item, and what you're trying to tell QTP is, look into the global sheet, or if you have current action sheet, you can use it. So this is what you want to say. So you're telling QTP, why don't you use that variable and look into the global sheet or this Excel sheet, what is there in the QTP, right? And run it. So once you click it's OK, now it will take as parameters, various parameters. That's what it is. Okay, here you go. So here it is. Here are various parameters for the two values. Let's say they change the two values, that's from and to, and now they are assigning various values, right, one after the other. So this is, you can use this section for that. Okay. Now, so any questions in parameters? Okay. Now, how do you use these parameters? Might be a question. In that case, you can use, this is a keyword views. They are using this keyword views. You can either go to the menu bar where you have all the options, file, edit, tools, and all those things, right? You can find it in there, or try using right-click option. You might find that option as parameter. Okay. There, this pop-up window shows up, and what you're trying to do with that value, it shows up here. Okay. You can use. There are many ways. Either use this right-click option, or use menu bar and get this option. Okay, so you want to verify this. Once it's verified, this report is automatically generated, and this is stored in particular location, and you want to see what is the result of this. Okay, that's move quick here. Okay, let's go here pretty quick here. Actions. So there are two types of actions. It's a regular and non-regular. I'm sorry, regular and reusable. Regular means you don't reuse it. That means once you have used it and that's done. Reusable in sense is like, let's say you are okay, reusable, let's say you want to reuse the same script, right? Let's say some function, you have written some function and you want to reuse. So what do you want to use? You just create that function and put in a library file, and you can reuse in your script anytime you want. So that's the use of it. That's a reusable. Okay, and then contains two types, that is locally and externally. Okay. So this is the action where you can recall a new action in the shortcut menu. So this kind of shortcut you're using, or you can use menu bar. Menu bar is supposed to be there, all these options. These are shortcuts you can use through shortcuts. Okay. Here. So these are options you can do with insert. Okay, once you go to insert, you can call new action, copy it, or you have this option. So this is how you can reuse your action. Okay, this is all about actions. Let's go to here pretty quick. So let's say there's a recovery scenarios. Okay, why do we need this recovery scenario? Let's say you're running this 40-hour script. Let's say there's a 40-hour script. It's too much of application. The whole Geomo Online is, let's say, documented and just scripted, and they have to run this whole script, and it takes like, let's say, 40 hours. Everything is there, no buttons and screen images and all those things. Now the server is a little slow, right? So we have some issues with the server, but production is good. Production has no issues, but testing has some issues. They are working on that server. So what happens, right? Suddenly some pop-up window shows up. We know this not belong to application, nowhere related to application. It's just error from the server side. Okay, not an application. Application is good, we know it. So suddenly pop-up window shows up. And what this QTP is, it's failed the script because it never had this pop-up window and thinks that this is not, application is behaving inappropriately. So in that case, you want to create recovery scenarios. That means you're trying to tell QTP that, if this options comes up, ignore it and run the remaining script. That's what you're trying to tell the QTP, that if some pop-up window or something shows up, ignore that particular script and continue with other scripts. So that's a recovery scenario. So that's an example. We have three options here: trigger event, recovery operation, post-recovery option. So let's see here. Let's say there's a pop-up window, or there are too many options here, right? Okay, so let's see here. Let's say we talk about this pop-up window. There can be an object state too. If the object state doesn't match us or something issues, sometimes server issues, and sometimes we know this issue, we are fixing it, we don't want to worry about it, so what is or test run or application crash. So for this, we want to use recovery scenarios. That means it's really not related with the application as such, but you want to tell QTP to ignore it and move forward with others. Okay, that's the use of recovery scenario. Okay, so let's go here. So let's see here. Let's know a little bit touch base on this code. Okay, we'll just see how this code is. We'll not go in detail. So if guys who are interested, actually is there in the syllabus. Let me show you. You can go ahead and look into that URL I've specified in the syllabus. Because there's so many things, you have to know a lot of things if you're going to QTP. So you would want to look into qtp.blogspot.com. Okay, and see go ahead and with the tutorials and see. But here, we'll just see here a little small code here. Okay. Now let's see here. I'll take an example here in Firefox. Oh, you know what? Actually, I forgot to show you an example. But let's see here. If you let's see if it's still there. Selenium. So I have this. You know what? Oh, Selenium. I wanted to show you like how the script looks like and how is this. You can do it, but don't think I have it here right now. Should be there here actually. Oh, okay, good. We found it. Okay, now let's see here. So that will take some time. So that's the reason. Okay, so here's this here. Okay, let's go to code here. Okay, let's go back to here code. Now, again, we'll go back to our basics. Again, it's all the play of property and value, right? Let's say there's a window. Okay, now I want to write some small code for my testing, right? For the testing purpose. And I'll just put some random number here. Okay, so this, you see this pop-up window. I hope everyone can see this pop-up window. So this is a pop-up window, right? Let's go back to your code here. So there is a window. So of course, this pop-up window we call it window. So this is a window, okay? And that's why in the code is written as window. Now this is an error. Of course, this is an error. Why? Because I put some enter wrong character here. That's why it shows up. So this is an error. But there is a title here supposed to be title, which is not here in Windows 10 and moving forward. But there's supposed to be title called error. Okay. Now this is called win button. Okay. Why win button? Because it's in Windows and this is our button. Okay, so let's say they're talking about this OK button. So this is Windows and this is a button. Okay, so I hope everyone is able to see this. Okay, so we are talking about this OK button now. Okay, let's see how to click that button. Just to click it, this pop-up window shows up. You want to just click it. So how do we do this? Now you want to specify the object here proper because there are so many buttons here. You see this, the background also there's a button. So you want to identify that you are trying to click this OK button. Right, what I'm trying to do here, you're giving text. That means this is a property of that button, and the value is okay. Okay, that's great. Now again, width. What is width? It's width is property, and this value is 50. Great. Now what you're trying to do is dot click. That means you want to click that button. Right. So that means you're clicking the button. So that's the one line code for that for that small pop-up window. Just to click it, you're not actually coding any application here, you're just writing some code to just click that button because you're in QTP and you're working on testing and you just want to tweak your scripts. In that case, you want to use this small codes. Okay, so that's about review. But if you want to go in detail, you want to go through, let's say in the syllabus, which is qtp.blogspot.com, and see you have to go through all those tutorials and try to understand a lot of things. But as a tester, you don't want everything. You just want to stick to limited things, okay? Because you'll be only running the scripts. Okay, you don't actually write the script. Okay, so here let's take an example here. Okay, so this is not QTP script. This is a Selenium script, and this is in Java. So this code doesn't run here, but we'll try to see here. So this is the code which is generated, right? I'm not really worried at this point of time to write the code. Let's say the code is already generated. Like how? So if you have this, Firefox, you have this add-in, right? Selenium add-in. I'll send you an email. Okay, you can add the Selenium add-in. Once you, that's called IDE, right? Once you do this, the code is generated for you. So this is all generated for you. And what's so now this is an Eclipse because this is UI. You want to run your code, right? So once you run it, now let's say no, this doesn't work, but let's try it here. Okay, so what this code does is when I run this script, it invokes that Firefox browser and automatically opens for you and runs that all this performs all the steps what is written here and closes the browser. That's how so but here it doesn't happen, but you can see here what's the information, you can see what's going on with it. But since because of this Firefox is a new version, so it gets outdated. That's how it doesn't work. But let's see here. Should open the Firefox actually. So yeah, here we go. So open the Firefox. See this? Okay, good. See this? This has opened for you, and it's closed again. I think it's closed. Still not fixed. Okay, it's all right. Now once it opens, right, it puts all the information because all the information actually is here. Okay, it goes to the URL, particular URL, clicks on that button. All this is in this code. Okay, actually I need to work on this. This code is outdated because new Firefox, right, new versions, new these things gets updated, keep up getting outdated. So we have to work on this code and get this. But anyway, this is how you will be using other QTP. If you're QTP, this expert view will be, this will be the expert view. Okay, all the code you'll be looking into here, and you can run this. But this is not QTP. This is Selenium, and this is called Eclipse. Okay, so this is an example. If you want to run it or something, you have to use some kind of tool to run your scripts. Okay. Any questions so far? So I've taken already 10 minutes. If you have any questions, let me know. Of course, all these codes, right? All these codes will be, not prepared by you. You have to understand that, developer will be working on it. Your job will be mostly just running this. You have this code, put that code here, and just run it. That's all. And if you get such kind of errors, I have to work. So like somebody gave me an email, right? See somebody. So this is called communication skill. Somebody, got an error, and similar way you get an error, you have to coordinate with the lead thing that I'm getting this error, how am I going to proceed? Okay? You cannot be shy. You cannot be shy and you ignore it. You can't do that. Selenium used by the developers. If you are developing and test script, yes. But if you are running it, you have to also use it. Okay, so that's how that's how you have to develop your communication skills. So let's say you're not able to run this, right? There's so much error here. So if you can figure it out by yourself, that's great. That's nothing beats than that. But if you're not able to do it, check with your lead. Hey, you know what? I'm trying to run this, and this throwing an error. Do you think it's something to do with it? Because I'm not able to find out this all path, all those things. But either way, you have to do your own research to do this. Only then you have to coordinate. Okay, don't again, you cannot ask stupid questions. Okay, so that you have to remember it. Unless you cannot able to figure it out yourself, and you're not able to do, only then you have to approach it, right? See, for example, this one is very good because I didn't get this ever. We have so many working, right? Now I thought, okay, this is using my iPad, so it doesn't support this mobile actually. So that's how you have to figure it out yourself and reach out. Okay, good. So if no questions, can we close this class for today? Okay, to practice QTP. Okay, good. So let's see here. Where is it? So it's there in the Is that in actually the syllabus? Okay, so these, let me ping it here, okay? Um, so you can go ahead and look into this. There's so many things here. First, try to what is it? Tutorials, right? Tutorials. First, try to get tutorials and try to understand. Yeah, this is the tutorials, and you will have plenty of tutorial what to do and what is the object, what are all repositories, get arrow functions, get to functions, and all those things you will get to know. Once you know it, you can move forward if you are interested in, you know, want to go as QTP developer or QTP automation developer, automation architect, and so on. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
This is not working. Right. All right. Cute.